Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over this handguard that you see right here on the rifle and you've seen throughout the intro. This is the Geissele MK8 or Mark 8 rail. It has the m-lok attachment points throughout it, and there's some other kind of ingenious things going on with it, and that's what we're going to discuss today after we let the dogs take a look at it. Getting into the details, I want to just sort of quickly cover installation because it's quite simple, and of course they have plenty of good instruction. But basically you can see the barrel nut under there, and I'll roll in a picture here of what it looks like when it's installed. So you're going to just tighten that down per their specs. It does come with the wrench to do it, and then we're going to run our cross bolts through here underneath. And one thing that's really awesome about this handguard is just how secure the mounting system is. So basically these bolts that run across there interface with that barrel nut, and even if you loosen these and these come loose, the only thing that can happen at that point is that theoretically it could rotate a little bit. Now we'll get into why it can't rotate very much here in just a second, but it theoretically could rotate a little bit, but it can't come off. So it's extremely secure. And then of course one reason it can't rotate very much is these screws right here on the side of the receiver do screw down, so that way you can tighten it down. But even without it being tightened down, it's very tight. So really the amount of movement possible, even in like a worst case scenario, is very minimal. So one thing I should point out too is that I've noticed some guys say they had trouble or had issues getting their handguard sort of timed, if you will, with the upper receiver, getting everything even there. So the easiest way to do that, just a quick tip here, is to use a one-piece scope mount and use that to lock it down, and it will sort of tighten everything up. And then at that point you just tighten your bolts down below per the recommended specs and you're good to go. The top of the rail is T-marked, so that way if you want to ensure you're using the exact same mounting position every time, it's an easy way to do that. And you also note that it is 1913 rail up top, but it looks a little different than your traditional 1913 rail because they've lightened it up a little bit. They put the holes in there, which not only reduces weight, but also allows for better cooling there, particularly with your gas tube right under there. But the hollowed out middle also degrades nothing in terms of secure mounting, and just reduces weight, which is always a good thing. You can also see there we have quick detach sling mounts there on the 6 and 3 o'clock position. And then m-lok we have here on the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock position all the way down, as well as up here on both sides, 45 degrees offset from the top of the rail. One question a lot of folks have out there is, do they want to use the MK8 rail, which is the one here on the bottom, or the Geissele MK4, which we have here on the top? So there's one big difference. The mounting system and everything is the same. The big difference, of course, is that we have 1913 rail up here at the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock position on the MK4. So the advantage of that is that if you're using like a PEC 15, D-ball, anything like that, and your lights and lasers need to be 0 and retain 0, that 1913 rail is going to give you a slight edge over the m-lok, or having to add another 1913 style rail in terms of repeatability of 0. It just is. It's just a little bit more secure there, but if you're not going to use that or don't need that capability, the MK8 or Mark 8 is probably the way to go, because it's going to save you a little bit of weight up front, which is really the worst place to have weight from a shooter's perspective. On the subject of weight, it does come in at 13.2 ounces, including the barrel nut. On my scale, I think the published specs is 13.3 ounces. I got 13.2 on mine, so take that for what it's worth. The overall length, of course, on this one is 13 inches. I believe they make a 9.5 as well as a 15-inch model, and the interior diameter of this sucker is 1.35. For those of you guys who want to run cans underneath it, it would have to be a pretty pretty narrow can to get underneath there, and the outside diameter of it is going to be 1.97 inches. We hit most of the high points of the handguard, and the one that we left out is going to be price. I checked over at Brownell's website right before this, and it looked like the 13-inch was $275, at least as of today anyway, and the 15-inch was $300, 9.5 was $250. So it's not cheap. That's definitely one thing going against it, if you will, as a buyer and consumer out there weighing some options. And the other thing going against it is going to be the weight. So 13 ounces compared to some of the other models out there, competitive models, is a little bit on the heavy side, particularly with the M-lok attachment. You know, when you compare that to some of the 1913 style rails, it's actually quite light, but rails keep getting lighter and staying pretty strong in most cases. So you'll see some competitors out there from reputable manufacturers that are going to be similar length and are going to weigh 8 to 10 ounces, right? 8 really on the low end, but a lot of them around 10, 11, somewhere in there. So a couple ounces, is it a big deal? I don't know, it depends what you're going to use the rifle for, but one thing I think you get with this is a very, very solid handguard, a very robust handguard. The way the angles are, anybody who's a mechanical engineer out there will tell you that is a very solid, very durable, able to withstand a lot of punishment type of design. So it's not quite as slim as some of the other ones out there that are going to be a little bit lighter, but it does add some rigidity to it. Like we talked about earlier, the mounting system is very robust as well. I'd have a very hard time seeing anything going wrong with it that's going to cause it to twist, rotate, anything like that. It would have to be something very serious, and for most of us that's not really an issue. So is it, you know, what you're looking for? If you're going for an ultralight build, probably not. If you want something that's extremely durable and you know is going to withstand any kind of situation that you can put it in, probably. So this particular rifle right here is one of my home defense rifles, so the fact that I put it on there and I've been testing it and been very happy with it sort of speaks volumes, because I have, you know, here on the channel I have a lot of very high-end stuff in here and some low-end stuff as well, but I can pretty much pick what I want to use for my personal defense and defense of my home, and went with this one and I'm happy with it. So if you guys have any questions about the handguard, anything else that we talk about here in the video, you can always post down below in the comment section. You can also post over at my Facebook page as always. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you in the next video.